Welcome to the Words That Change Lives podcast, helping leaders, coaches, and small business owners to 10 times the impact of their message. Join us as we delve into the art of powerful language, enabling you to speak with unwavering honesty, communicate authentically, and create a lasting impression with every word. In this episode, I am sharing a TEDx journey with one of my clients who attended my Land and Deliver program, Zoe Cross. Zoe is an international award-winning keynote speaker, published author, and a confidence and money mindset business coach for high-achieving women leaders and business owners. So she was born with Moebius syndrome, which is a rare form of facial paralysis, and she battled for years with being bullied, rejected, and underestimated. But she is a determined woman full of life, laughter, and courage. And with 25 years experience in international industry, she's seen as a true role model for women who are ready to stand up, speak out, and claiming their value for their own life and business. And that is very true to my heart. Obviously, that's something that I do in terms of helping people speak up and speak out. And Zoe is a true inspiration. And working with her on Land and Deliver, as you will hear in this program, really was an inspiring journey for me and a learning journey for me, but also for Zoe as well, to be able to share her idea worth spreading on the TEDx stage. And if sharing your idea on the TEDx stage is something that is in your goal list, and you want to take steps to make that happen, that's something that I absolutely love helping my clients with. And I've got a number of ways that I can do that. I have evergreen courses, I have one-to-one, and I do have live programs. So do get in touch if that's something that is important to you. And hopefully, listening to Zoe on this episode, you will be inspired to set that goal in motion and stand on the TEDx stage. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. Enjoy. So Zoe, your TEDx journey. I'd love to know, what was the original goal for you? Because obviously I met you at a certain point along the journey, but what was the original goal for you with landing a TEDx gig? Why did you want to do it?
Well, in all honesty, I didn't really have a goal. The TEDx was the goal. It was this dream. And I know it was inspired by two people. One of them is the late Dr. Sean Stevenson, who was a TEDx speaker in a wheelchair with brittle bone disease. And the other one was really my role model, a lady with facial paralysis. And I saw her on the stage, and there was just this feeling, I want to do that.
I hear you. Right. Well, that's brilliant, because I think, my inspiration originally came from seeing it was Schools Killing Creativity, that Ken Robinson talk. I also saw one from Monica Lewinsky, and although, her story is very different, it was, I think for you, that I can see those connections, those real connections for you. And so it's inspirational, right? They're doing that. They're sharing their message. I want to do that too. And that's actually a real pure driver for landing a TEDx gig. A lot of people have different motivators. So it's actually really lovely and refreshing to hear that was the reason behind your goal. I didn't actually know that. And what did or didn't you know about the process before we started our time together, working together?
Well, actually, I didn't know there was a process. And I think there's this saying, if you're looking for something, someone will appear, a teacher will appear to guide you. And I understood what you were doing, and I thought, well, it's so in the future, it's so far away, but Helen seems to know what she's doing, and maybe Helen can speed things up a little bit for me, maybe.
Okay. So now that you're out the other side and you've done it, which we'll talk about in a minute, what did you find out about the process of creating an idea worth spreading and finding an event and all of that? What was that like for you?
Well, I found it very, it was very aligned though. I mean, it wasn't this sort of, oh, I need to do this. I need to push, and bounce at people. It was so beautiful. I think the process that you showed me, it felt so natural. And you talk about giving value and promoting people, because the people who organize TEDx events are givers.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're giving to them, you're helping them. And it's just, if their message, because they often have these topics for events, and if that somehow aligns with what you want to say, it's just a fun process, and you can see how can I possibly contribute to what they're doing.
Yeah. And when we started working together, it was in Land and Deliver we started working together. And one significant part of that program is formulating the idea worth spreading. And I'm trying to remember how that came into play for you. Your idea worth spreading about smiling on the inside, was that already formed?
I don't think so. I must say, because I didn't have this super goal, I wanted to be on stage. I love being on stage. And actually, I was recovering from a fairly major foot operation, so I had time. And I think it was just listening to your teachings inside the course, and think, what is uniquely something that I could give other people. And I think it was in collaboration that we came up with this idea.
I think that's a really great point, because a lot of the people I speak to, they struggle with formulating the idea. They don't know how to create something that is aligned with their story or their expertise or their experiences in the world, and with an idea worth spreading. And they find it difficult to connect those two things and to articulate succinctly what that message is. And I think from what I remember, it was something that kind of organically evolved with you. Yeah, there was, and we'll talk about your story in a minute, which forms a big part of the idea worth spreading and a big part of the talk. But I think that it emerged through those discussions of your story and what you have to say to everybody in society, as well as groups of people in society, about what that actually means. So I think probably it's a good time to talk about the idea worth spreading and the title of your talk, which you're able to share the title of your talk.
I think in the end, it became, once I had the TEDx talk, I think we started with how to smile without actually smiling.
That was it.
And then this was very last minute. So I had I was preparing for the TEDx talk once I'd won the competition. And I think the title I then used was Overcoming Rejection by Smiling with Your Heart.
That was it. Yes. So the core message that we worked together on was how to smile without smiling. And then that evolved into overcoming rejection, how to smile with your heart. That's a really good example, right, of how that idea evolved. So let's hear. I'd love people to go and watch your talk, and they can go and see it on YouTube, and we will put the link in the show notes so that people can watch it. And I highly recommend every single person that listens to this podcast to watch that talk, because it's incredibly moving, incredibly inspiring. But if you could just give us a little snapshot of why you came to this, have this core message, and to deliver this particular talk with this particular title.
How to put that succinctly, but yeah, so I was born with facial paralysis, a rare form of facial paralysis, Moebius syndrome. And there was an event when I was about 9 years old. So, of course, I had bullying, I had name calling, you name it, I had it. And however, when I was about 9, I was doing a bit of a dance formation. And I thought I was being very clever, and I thought, everyone else was there with their uniforms, lovely hair. And I thought, yeah, I don't fit in here. And so I went and hid and didn't take part in the performance. And my parents were really good. They said, they didn't sort of scold me, but they said, oh, we missed you. And that was all they really said. And then they moved countries. I had to learn a new language a few weeks later, literally. And 2 years later, I was at the theatre, local theatre with my mother. And maybe there was this absorption. I think I realised just because I look different, that is not an excuse to hide away. And it's not an excuse to let yourself be hidden away by other people. And maybe I absorbed that because 2 years later, I was watching this play. And again, as I was saying earlier about the TEDx speech, there was this instant when I knew I want to be on that theatre stage. I just need to be there. And that somehow evolved over the years. So I was now been in industry for over 25 years. And there's been occasions where I've realised that people have underestimated me, or I've let myself be put away, put in the back corner, back office. And today, I want to show women, especially around the world, that it's up to them, and to give them the courage and the permission to go out, to stand up, to speak up for what they believe in, and to be visible for what they believe in.
Oh, I'm feeling emotional hearing that. And I think when you say you absorb this message that's about hiding, about not hiding yourself, not letting others make you hide. I think for many people, in many different ways, in many different situations, and for many different reasons, they can resonate with that, for whatever the reason is, to feel like you need to hide and to feel like others are making you hide. But you have a choice to do that. And you are a fantastic example of choosing not to let other people affect your behavior, and also standing in your own truth, as it were, and standing up and speaking up and showing women, in particular, but all sorts of people, that you can change that. It's a mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a mindset. So let's talk about this smiling with your heart, right? Because I know what that means. I've worked with you on this, and I understand what that means, and I know what's in the talk. If you could just give us a few threads, born from your experiences, what you actually mean by smiling with your heart.
Well, one of the things is, again, this is a choice, and I'm extremely grateful to my parents that there's this thing about the victim mindset and growth mindset. And I had the amazing fortune, for whatever reason, to realize very early on that never mind what I look like, I am lucky. I am lucky, and I went out into the world. I remember I was about 6-7 years old in our neighbourhood in Ireland, going around just adventuring out. I thought I was this adventurer, and I needed to go out and discover new parts of the neighbourhood. And I think that's how I've gone through life. And again, that's actually something I help people with, to discover their true values and voice. And I now know that one of my values is this explorer who is curious, very curious. And when something maybe doesn't go right, or somebody behaves in a way that I wasn't expecting, I think what has helped me, and what I then talk about, is curiosity, to get So it's not the wounded, not the, oh, this is my fate, but to say, why is this happening? Just to be accepting and to ask, why is this happening? What can I learn here?
Curiosity, I think, is a fantastic mindset shifter. And to have that as a natural skill, it's almost like a problem-solving skill, right? It's a problem-solving skill, but it's also a creative skill. Because when you're hit with a challenge or a problem, rather than being blocked by that challenge or problem, you inquire into it and you are curious about ways around it and ways forward. Curiosity also means that you put yourself out into the world, you face out into the world. And it was through those experiences that you met, you traveled, and you learned some things through that curiosity. So what did you learn on your travels?
What actually I learned was, I mean, I love this thing about connection. I learned my English right now. So I got to know so many people. And because I'd spent time in Japan, so I studied Japanese. And so Japan I wanted something completely different from Europe. And that was a motivation to learn about a completely new culture and people. And I remember being asked by my university loyal tutor before interviews, and we don't know how they will react to you. And I remember saying, well, I don't know either, but I've been in various countries before now, and I've always found a way to make friends. And I remember in particular the time I was saying goodbye to my first Tokyo host family. It was highly emotional. We've been together for 5-6 weeks, and I still have connections with them. 30, 40 years later. So, and I realized, there's a way to people's hearts and asking them what they think about things. I mean, we're not always on the same page. We see this, unfortunately, more and more, that if we can regain our curiosity, our acceptance for other people's differences, and to get curious, why, what exactly is making you think this way? Because there's probably a good reason. This is such a way to build bridges.
I hear you. And so in traveling to a different culture and connecting with other human beings who have different cultural values, who have different cultural behaviors, you found through your curiosity and drive for connection a way of connecting with someone from a different culture that didn't involve smiling.
Yeah.
Right? And that was it, right? That was how you found, it was almost like a superpower, really.
Absolutely. Because this smile, as I think I say in the talk, it's a completely non-verbal method of communication, which, yes, at times I realize I'm missing in certain discussions. So I have to find other ways of making myself heard or putting a point across. But it's that, and smiling with your voice, smiling with your heart, reaching out. There are so many ways that we can get creative when we cannot smile. And with the mask, from COVID.
Yes. And this podcast is called Words That Change Lives. And so, what we say and how we connect through our words, not just our facial expressions, not just our body language, what we say is so powerful. And again, you demonstrate that in terms of how we can smile metaphorically from the heart and connect with people anywhere and not let any type of perceived setback or cultural difference or physical difference or visual difference get in our way. This is always going to be something whenever I talk about it. It's just because I've watched your TEDx talk quite a few times. And I always feel so moved when I watch it. And I watched it again recently. But I know a lot of people that are listening to this and a lot of people that I speak to. One of the things is idea worth spreading and getting the right idea worth spreading. The second is landing the gig. Now, we had our time in the program and then the program ended and you had your talk idea and all of that sort of stuff. What happened after that? So obviously on the program, I taught people how to pitch and how to look for events and the themes and all of that. What happened in terms of actually finding the gig and landing the gig?
Well, that was very interesting. So that was 2019, early 2020. And to explain to your listeners, 2019, I couldn't do anything because I was at home with a very damaged foot, which needed. So my lockdown started in about October 2019 and never really ended. But I had time, and I remember thinking, yes, it's not about mass applications. It's about thinking about one or two ideal locations that you'd like to focus on. And I was thinking of London, somewhere in London, and I found Soho, and I had connections with Soho. And because I thought, well, never am I going to find a stage in Germany. So let's focus on the UK. And but for some reason, I don't remember right now, but I do remember finding out that there was the stage TEDx Frankfurt. And I thought, yeah, okay, well, that's interesting, but they're going to do it in German. I don't want to do my speech in German. So I had this preconception. But again, well, being curious, I thought, well, just nobody's doing anything right now. Nothing's possible right now, but just get in contact with them, just find out what they're doing. So I signed up to a newsletter, I think, March 2020 or so. And just, nothing's happening, but maybe in a year or two's time. And so I got a good reception, actually, first reception from TEDx Soho. But I thought, yeah, well, I can't get over there right now. And so I followed up with Soho, but they weren't doing anything. And I was totally relaxed about the whole thing. And I did the same with Frankfurt. And in 2021, early January, February 2021, they suddenly had this application process where we were doing a little competition. And I thought, okay, so it was one weekend. I remember my partner was in the other room, and I spent about a good hour or so. Of course, I'd spent hours before honing the talk, but then I had to record a video for them, and so I spent at least 1.5 hours recording a 5-6 minute video for them. Then I uploaded it and forgot about it. And about 3 or 4 weeks later, I was on the train, as you are. I was on the train on the way to a doctor's appointment. And I saw this email, and it was from them. And I was thinking, yeah, I'm very sorry. Great application. Sorry. Not doing, but thank you very much for the application. And then I just continued reading, but they were actually saying, you are one of the 3. And I'm thinking, I had to read this email about 5 times before I could even vaguely get the gist of the fact that I was really landed the gig.
You were in shock.
I was in shock, absolutely.
Yeah. And then what happened, because it was an interesting time, I had quite a few clients over that period of time who were delivering talks. And so I was at that time putting together an event TEDx Moseley, and we were holding off till we could actually do it in person. And that meant that we had to cancel it like 3 times because we wanted to have an in-person event. What happened with Frankfurt?
So with Frankfurt, it was April. It was recorded in April 2021. And that meant, so we had a studio. I think they were quite new, as Lisa told us. And so that was not maybe rather a good start for them. And so they recorded, so we all got tested. And in fact, it was my first COVID test and because I've been on so much isolation. And so it was just the technician, the license holder, and me in the studio. And literally lights, camera, action. So that was the first time. But the thing was, that was amazing. And then I somehow thought the icing on the cake would be to get on a stage and do it. And again, it was just, dream on. I mean, it was amazing. But in October 22, yes, it was October 22, they did their first in-person event. And they said, would you like to be our surprise guest at the end of the event? I thought, oh, hell yes.
And so you were, and you did it to an audience.
Yes.
Amazing. Because there's, of course, having the opportunity to do it, and in COVID times, a lot of people were doing various different versions of either completely recorded, online, or in an empty studio, or, to a very small audience. And so to be able to do it first off and then again to an audience, I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Excellent.
Which one is actually up? Which one is up on YouTube?
The one that's up is the one on the stage.
I thought so. Yeah, brilliant. So how did it feel when you actually stood there and you stood in front of an audience and you shared your idea worth spreading?
Let's say I love being on stage, and the TEDx showed me new levels of nervousness. That was next level nervousness. But I mean, one of my tricks is always to get on that stage in advance, to see and to feel what it's like to be on the stage. Where is everything going to be? That helps enormously. And I would have asked them, but I didn't need to, because they wanted us to come on stage before everyone came and just get things right. I had this heart as a prop, so I needed to know where that was going. But the ones I was up there, and I could hear laughter, so there were times when people were laughing, and that is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's an incredible feeling, isn't it? And so in my experience, I only had a very short amount of time to prepare. And the first bit of preparation was to just go down there, even before I'd written the talk, and do a sound check, because it was happening 24 hours later. And doing that actually did really help, because even though I hadn't written the talk yet, standing on the stage, seeing how big it was, feeling the lights and the red dot and the cameras and all of that, I think did definitely help me when then I went away, pulled together a talk, and then came back the next day. It really did help, because I'd felt out the environment. It's almost like, from an evolutionary perspective, you're kind of sounding out your environment for safety, right? And to make you feel safer.
Wow.
Because public speaking actually links very much, the fear of public speaking actually very much links to our evolutionary, our ancestral behavior in wanting to stay safe. So when we stand on a stage or we're in front of a group of people, we could have been ridiculed or outcast from a tribe, or it might not have been our tribe. And so that makes us unsafe. And that's why we get, one of the reasons why we have a fear of public speaking. So it's a very good tip Zoe, for anybody who's giving a talk, if you can scope out the environment before you give your talk, it's going to really, really help. Golden bit of advice there. Do you have any other advice for anyone who thinks, do you know what? I really want to do that. I want to stand on that stage. I've been inspired, or I want to share my message, or I want to share my story, and I want to help others. What advice would you give them?
I think I've got two things I'm thinking of at the moment. One is, but I think you spoke to this. I wanted the TEDx talk. That was my goal. What you can do because of course you're not allowed, that's why TEDx is so amazing. It's not about promotion. But of course, you can think about how your amazing message can link somehow indirectly to whatever you're selling without promoting.
Yes.
That can be something that can be of help for people. And the other piece of advice is if you want an accelerator, and I love accelerators. That's part of my money blueprint, which I talk about in some of my programs. I love speed. If you are interested in an accelerator, I have to say, work with Helen. Just work with Helen. Simple, and that's it. She really is amazing.
Oh, thank you, Zoe. I appreciate that. On your first point, it is good advice. And I think a lot of people, they don't know this, in that there is no business promotion whatsoever. TEDx stage is not the stage for business promotion, as well as 5 other very strict guidelines, which I won't go into now. I've gone into those in other episodes. But business promotion is not the one for TEDx. However, if there is an alignment with your story, your expertise, your passion, your mission, that is at a societal level and can be turned into an idea worth spreading, that has no direct promotion, then of course that's going to be in alignment with you and your business and how you want to show up in the world and how you want to help people. And thank you for the shout out as well. I really appreciate that. I loved working with you on what we've done. So what happened since then, and what's happening next for you, Zoe?
Well, in April 2021, when the recording came out, and I posted it on LinkedIn, at the time, actually, I was still a dating and relationship coach. And I wasn't very happy because I'd always had to choose between dating and business. And I had mentors who said, go for the dating. And I think actually, with hindsight, that was good. That was still a great experience. And then the TEDx talk came out. My personnel department discovered it and said, "Ooh, wow, okay." And I said, "Would you like to do a kind of video with us as a diversity role model for our careers page?" Because at the time, I think I'd been working with Panasonic, so it's still a part-time day job, for about 22, 23 years. And it was at the time that happened, and about a week later, I said, right, sort of without too much thinking, that's it. I've had it with date coaching. That was great. That had its reason. That I'm going into business coaching. This is where I want to be, and I want to be empowering women in business. So that was the one massive change almost immediately.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
And there was one other thing. Well, various things, but one absolute highlight was last year, December. Yeah, we're coming up to a year now, almost. And my partner heard about a speech contest in Germany, and it was the winners were to be speaking in a stage in a town hall with television, radio, and 300 people in the audience. fairly big town. So he said, would you like to apply? I said, oh, yeah, I'm applying. And because, it was the day of International Human Rights Day. So I took the TEDx speech, modified it towards the end slightly with some data, which I had. And so I was one of the 6 winners.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing. Well, that's just, again, a really good example. So before people give a TEDx, just to flag, a TEDx idea has to be unique, as in it can't have been delivered anywhere else as a talk before you actually deliver a TEDx talk. However, after you've delivered the TEDx talk, you can adapt that talk into various different things. It could be a corporate keynote, as part of delivering a keynote or workshops and things like that into corporate. It could be an industry event. It could be all sorts of things. You can then adapt it and change it and tweak it, just like you did, to fit another type of audience and another type of event. So if you using that as a springboard, so to speak, for further stuff. Well, that's really great to hear. So what's next for you? What are your plans for 2024?
What's next? Well, I don't know. So actually, what happened is so this also happened last year, was this extra qualification as a certification as a money mindset and business coach, because I've done things before. I had enough experience to help people, but I thought I'd like to refine my question modalities. And so that is now happening. That's getting off the ground. However, that talk that I just told you about, I gave that to a small group of people 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there wasn't a dry eye in the room. It was amazing. It was so amazing. And later, people they came up to me because there were lots of people. They were all in corporate, and several people came up to me and said, "Yeah, do you do?" Well, I said, "I do corporate speaking. You can book me." And in fact, I had an application. For a keynote that didn't work in September, but the whole process showed me what could be possible, and that's where I want to be going next year.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's getting on those stages and doing those things when people in the audience are seeing you and then saying, come speak here, as well as putting yourself out there as a speaker and applying, or putting yourself, or reaching out and sharing your keynote talk and how it can transform a certain audience's lives. Well, I'm really excited for you, Zoe. It's fantastic to hear, the journey leading up to the TEDx and what's happened since. And with all my guests, I ask one final question, which is, what words have changed your life?
It's there are actually 2. There's one somebody, a mentor of mine, who said, "I see an amazing future for you." And the question that I have been asked, and that I like to ask my clients, is, what if you could?
Yeah, that very powerful. What if you could? What would happen then? A really good mindset flipper to turn someone around from a victim, from a maybe fixed mindset, into thinking, okay, like you said, thinking or dreaming of what could be possible. And then if we start to feel into that and we start to see what that looks like, then it can become real, more so than if we were thinking what couldn't. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with me. What do you think, whoever's listening? What do you think about what I've talked to Zoe about today? Is TEDx on your goal list? And what has our conversation inspired you to do? Let us know. You can email hello@helenpackham.com, or you can use the hashtag words that change lives on social media. And thank you so much for coming. Zoe, go check out Zoe's talk and the show notes for how you can get in touch with her. And I will speak to you next time. Thanks for listening to Words That Change Lives. Please rate, review and follow on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really means the world and helps me to reach more people so that we can all harness the power of our words and change lives for the better.